So yeah, so automation doesn't always have to be bad. There's seems to be some opportunities for automation to actually help us out with our work as well. Unfortunately, we ran into a story where some companies, some organizations don't seem to have the same level of visualization as others. We ran into an interesting whistleblowing document actually
Yeah.
from on DOGE from experienced DevOps architect. It's actually a really interesting document. We do not have time to go over the
Yeah.
entire document in detail, but it is a fascinating read,
Yes.
both on how the whistleblowing approach occurs, what government DevOps people are aware of, and kind of the work that is being done behind the scenes. But basically, I would say there's a level of uh, access being provided to government data that is honestly extremely surprising that I would have never thought was possible. What do you think about this, Ken?
Well, I have to tell you, when I saw this and read through it, I was like, "Oh, that's
Mhm.
smart." Um, you know, that there are significant risk, security, and continuity gaps in any organization, let
Mhm.
alone a public government organization, is not surprising to me. I think that just having the laws and regulations that are mandating, security risk and continuity, it's just
Mhm.
not enough. It comes down to the work to be done, who's doing it, and how performance is measured. Because how you reward or penalize someone is going to partially, at least partially, drive their behavior. Because people want to do well and they want to avoid pain. I think that's
Mhm.
pretty predictable. Now, to take it further, I would never say that there's no fraud, waste, or abuse going on in government, especially at the federal level. But the how you go about doing that, how you manage large scale change and transformation is a very, very tricky exercise. And it's not something that you can do without a good amount of thought and communication amongst all of the agencies and the actors that are engaged in seeing that provide the benefit to the people that it's supposed to be benefiting. And quite frankly, I'm not seeing that. And
Yes,
that's the thing that's most concerning to me when I look at it both from the analyst perspective as well as from a personal perspective.
yes. So this particular whistleblowing incident was looking at the National Labor Relations Board data, labor information, information, and things that I would consider to be fairly uh, delicate and sensitive in nature.
Yeah.
I definitely, if I had that data in any organization, I would not be opening it up to any third party without
Yeah.
significant uh, contractual agreements and trust and
Yeah.
probably some sort of equivalent of a security clearance. You know, in the corporate world, we don't have security clearances, but we do have trusted partners versus kind of more ephemeral partners. And I would make sure that it was definitely a trusted partner with specific before providing that level of access. And that's what I'm not seeing DOGE do in the government. I'm not
Yeah.
seeing that care for the data or any specific work being done towards the governance, compliance, and security that we tend to take for granted. It's just a quick move, break fast, kind of Silicon Valley acting startup where you think that because you can simply move petabytes of data from one place to another that you should do it. And I think we just
Yeah.
there needs to be some more care to it. What I would say a good thing and a bad thing that I saw from a tactical perspective. Good thing is, so the bad news is there was a Russian attack on our data, on the government data. Luckily, all those attacks were pushed aside because there are policies in place right now for non-US attacks to be automatically picked up and for those logins to be rejected on government data. So that's good. I don't think any foreign party should be able to get into American data. Like even our allies should not be able to get into our American government data at the end. So I think that's a good thing. I was a little surprised in this though, that the DevOps architect pointed out that there wasn't a SIEM solution in place.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a little odd. I would think that our government data deserves better security, and if we're spending a little more on security there, that's not the worst thing our government could be paying money on. But hopefully, whoever's in charge puts better IT in place to protect our data assets going forward and to
Yeah.
monitor what's going on.
It really goes back to because, in a certain sense, I don't care who you are, public, private, or not for profit.
Mhm.
Everybody has constraints. There a lot more is being asked of people than one has either the time, money, or attention to pay it to really do well, right? So
Mhm.
you have to pick your battles, and especially now when we're talking about a public agency which has all this data, has different conflicting things that they need to do. You can't resource everything to the level that you would want to cover all of the potential exposures or risks that the organization might face.
Mhm.
So at that point, it's kind of like, well, which is the larger fire? And I realize that's not an ideal way to address the issue, but in a certain sense, it's kind of practical. And but if you don't actually go through and have the conversation to look at, well, what are all the totality of things that you need to do in order to be able to serve the people you serve, and how do they all interact together? You're just playing with explosives.
Mhm.
It's just going to blow up at some point, and the personal toll on the people that depend on these things uh, can be significant, and that's the thing that really kind of gets me enraged.
Yeah, it's tough to watch. And I think just on a final note on that, uh, I just want to say that I'm very impressed by the whistleblower for doing what is probably a career-ending event.
Yeah,
We know how this federal government works, and making a statement and a report like that is a federal career-ending event. So, kudos on having the guts to be able to go through with a report like that.
and partially this is that whole perspective on speaking up because something isn't being done well.
Mhm.
That goes back to the thing I was saying about how you're either rewarding or punishing people based upon what you're placing emphasis on. I think that, in this case, a whistleblower not only should be granted protections, but should also be rewarded because they're bringing to light a situation that needs to get addressed. And I'm of the opinion that in any organization that I've been part of leading, I've always wanted people to bring tough issues
Mhm.
and make them visible, because the last thing you want to do is have something blow up because, wow, you missed it. That's a gift you're being given. We want
Yeah,
to encourage people to have that kind of approach and way of thinking about what there is to be done.
yeah, I think it's a competitive advantage when you can look at hard issues and
Yeah.
be able to bring them up and work on solving them. But we shall see.
Yes, indeed.
Mhm.